Hello, Year 3. I hear you're learning about India and um, going to be talking about Chembakoli, a little village out there. Many years ago, when I was 21, a long time ago, I went on holiday to India for 3 weeks and I had a very, very special time out there. My husband's uncle was the commander in chief of the Indian Army at the time, and his name was General Sunith Rodrigues, and he was commander in chief for 3 years nearly, and he lived in Delhi in Army House, and he had over 9 million soldiers under his command at the time, so it was a very important job. We were very lucky while we were out there. We got to stay in Army House with him and before we went off on the rest of our travels. So I shall show you some pictures and let you see what some of India looks like. Some of it's very, very posh and very, very expensive looking. Just remember, this was a long time ago, so the cars look a bit different, although they don't have very modern cars a lot of the time in India. And so the people will probably be dressed a little bit differently too. But I'll show you some of the places we went to, and you'll get to see some of the beaches we went on as well. So first of all, here is a picture of the front of Army House, and I'll talk you through the rest. I hope you enjoy this. So that is the front gates to Army House. You can see the soldiers outside and the cannons. There's a better picture of the cannons there. And it's been like that for many, many years, I believe. Here are the two soldiers guarding the front gate. And this is the flagpole. And can you see the car in the background there? That's the Commander-in-Chief's car. Very old-fashioned looking car, but it works very well. And that was his wife. And we stayed there for a few days. As you can see, relaxing nicely in some very lovely chairs. And that's the Commander-in-Chief going off to work first thing in the morning. And the soldiers there are saluting him as he goes off. They had some servants there, so we were very lucky. We got waited on hand and foot, a bit like being in a hotel. They brought us tea and fed us lovely food. We had a special birthday while we were out there, so we all got dressed up. This is me in the purple sari, don't laugh. And that's the Commander-in-Chief. And it was my brother-in-law's birthday at the time. This was the Commander-in-Chief's daughter. She was buying some flowers. She was going to visit the graves of some of the family. They do that to pay respects to their family out there, a bit like we do. This was a temple we visited. It's probably like a mini Taj Mahal, but it's not actually the Taj Mahal. You can see how big it is because I'm standing in front of it and I'm still quite a way away from it, and it's still quite large in the background. This is Delhi, in the middle of Delhi, the big monuments, a bit like we have in France, the Romanesque style buildings. Oh, this is a man snake charming in the streets. He was a bit like when they play the guitar in the streets. He wants a little bit of money, so he's charming a snake to make you give him some pennies. This was an optician's, very different to our opticians. This was a festival we went to. There's a lady there having her hand painted. Some of you may have had that done for weddings. This was a lady here spinning around, dancing with some pots on her head. She was showing us how clever she could be at balancing. And this was a monument called the Qutb Minar. Now, that is a famous tower in Delhi. It was built in 1199, long time ago. And it was made of red sandstone and marble and sandstone. And I think the top two layers were added later. And it does lean slightly, a bit like the Tower of Pisa. And it was built to call worshippers to prayer. So the caller would climb 379 steps to get right to the top and shout from the top to get everyone to come and pray. You can see how big it is. That's the bottom of it, with people standing nearby. So it's very, very large. And it has 379 steps inside, but you can't go up anymore because there was a fatal stampede in 1981. Some people fell off, so they don't let you go up there anymore. This is Delhi, the town of Delhi, or the city of Delhi, as you can see. Very busy, lots of cars, lots of people, even a coach there, probably taking some tourists, and some tuk-tuks. If you live near Thorpe Hall Avenue, there's a house that has a tuk-tuk in their front garden, and they drive it into Thorpe Bay. This is inside Delhi Fort, inside one of the chapels for worship. So you had to wear special things on your feet to cover your shoes or go in barefooted. And then we travelled from Delhi to Agra on a train called the Shatabdi Express. We had to get up very, very early in the morning to catch the train at about 5 o'clock in the morning. And it took us to a hotel nearby. And in the distance there, can you just see as I close in, there is the Taj Mahal. We went to see the Taj Mahal twice. That's the entrance to the Taj Mahal there. Look at me in my very fashionable denim shorts at the time. You go to see it twice, once in the morning, because in the morning it looks like this. Absolutely white marble. The Taj Mahal is made of marble and covered in gemstones, and it looks really, really white in the morning light. But then they recommend that you go back in the afternoon when the sun is setting, because in the evenings it goes pink because it reflects the sunlight. And each of the four towers on the corners slightly lean outwards, so that if they were to ever fall down, they would fall away from the building. I wonder if you can find out some facts about the Taj Mahal and let Miss James or Miss Bradley know what you found out. The Taj Mahal is absolutely massive. As you can see, this is us standing in front of just part of it. And as you can see, it is very, very big, and it's very decorated when you get close to it, with lots of gemstones actually in the marble. Oh dear, there's a picture of me. How dreadful. And they were cutting the grass using a mower pulled by cattle. Not your electric mowers that we have here. They were using the cattle to mow the grass. So it was a very beautiful place to go. Then we went to see lots of more buildings like that. This was where someone was doing some roadside cooking for people to come, and it was like a little cafe for the locals to go and eat at. And we were taken on lots of tours of lots of other buildings. We went from Agra, this is to another place called Fatehpur Sikri, which was a town, a palace that was built many, many years ago As you can see, it's very dry. They didn't have walls because it was too hot, so they would put fabric up to keep out the breezes, but to also keep out flies and things, but it would let the air through, and it would keep cool. Unfortunately, they had to abandon Fatehpur Sikri because the water dried up. There was no more water left there, so they had to abandon that city and move away. But it has remained still standing now, so you can go and visit it. Many years ago, I think they did a milk tray chocolate advert from there, which we used to watch on television, and I didn't realise at the time it was Fatehpur Sikri. Here's some camels. You can see all sorts of animals just walking down the road out in India, and some of the beautiful gardens at Fatehpur Sikri as well. This was a hotel we stayed at. It was called the Rambagh Palace, but I think it used to be a cloister, a monk's place where monks lived, but they don't live there anymore. And then we also, in Agra, went and rode an elephant up to, there's me on the back of the elephant, up to the fort, I think it's the Amber Fort. And at the top of the ride, when we finished the ride, there were these beautiful rooms. This was just full of mirrors, which reflected the light when you had candles up. This is us coming up on the elephants. I was wearing a pair of earrings on the journey up, and I dropped one of them off, and it fell on the floor, and I thought, oh, my earring has gone. And then the herder who was riding the elephant with us, he tapped the elephant on the head, had a little chat with him, and the elephant felt around on the ground with his trunk and promptly picked up my earring and handed it back to the herder, who handed it back to me. It was a bit slobbery by the time he handed it back, but it was nice to get it back. There's some monkeys, lots of monkeys around at this palace. And then we went from there to Jodhpur and stayed in an actual palace that is still lived in by a Maharaja, and he was having a birthday, so there was lots of people gathering outside his palace ready to go in for a party. We hadn't been invited, but that was okay. And as you can see from here are all the people getting ready to go into the party with all their brightly coloured clothes on and lots of balloons. And inside the palace, they used to do a lot of tiger hunting out in India, because India is where the tigers live. So they have their trophies on the wall. Unfortunately, I know, it makes me sad too to think that these tigers were alive but aren't anymore. But you can see how expensive looking it all was, with all the gold chairs for people to sit in. So, and then we went from there to visit the fort at the top of the mountain, as you can see. And then down below, Jodhpur, all the houses are blue. And the tour guide told us that this was because the wise man of the village normally paints his house blue. But unfortunately, everyone decided that they wanted to paint their houses blue too. So now we don't know whose house the wise man belongs to. But anyway, and here is a wise man sitting just outside the fort. As you can see, they have many ornate, beautiful windows and balconies on these buildings. And then we travelled from there to Goa. And take a look at the beaches. There's not many people there. There's some fishing boats out on the beach. And as you can see, it's very empty. but very, very beautiful. Some little cafes down to the side where you could go and eat, but not get your normal sort of food you get in Spain and places like that. And then we went on to Bombay from Goa, and that's the gateway to India there in Bombay, where Queen Victoria didn't actually ever go to India, but where lots of visitors would come through there. They'd go down the steps to the water and out onto their boats. But it's not called Bombay anymore. It's now called Mumbai. I also went back to India a couple more times after that 3-week holiday because we had enjoyed it so much. And we went to Goa. And I've just got a few pictures of Goa to show you because I thought you might like to see a bit of the sort of houses that they live in. Not everyone, but some of the people live in, and some of the beaches that they have down there. So, excuse my camera skills. This is one of the beaches in Goa, as you can see. There's hardly anybody on it except me. A few people there going back in towards the hotel. But it was very, very hot. Very, very hot and sunny down in Goa. Had some beautiful flowers in the gardens. Oh, there's a little lizard who'd come to visit. They're scampering around on the ground nearby. And a cat had come to sit on my sunbed there next to me. And then in the evenings, as you can see, the sun went down. It was very beautiful. On the beaches. Again, beaches. This was a sort of normal sort of cafe near the road that you could go and have some dinner at. And then this is a little shop, a bit like a supermarket that you could go and get drink and snacks from. Another roadside little stop for people to stop off and have a drink at. These are some of the houses in Goa. You see the big satellite dish for them to get their TV and their Wi-Fi. And there's another little house. They're mainly Catholic in Goa because it was invaded by the Portuguese many years ago. So it is actually a Portuguese colony. But they all speak English. All the road signs are in English as well as in Indian. And they drive on the left. Here's a little girl with her mum going off to school. Very beautifully dressed, isn't she? She matches her mum. This is a young man walking along past the cafes and the shops and the little houses. This is a little house that somebody is living in. And again, another one here, kind of put together with whatever they could find to keep out the heat and the rain when it comes. And this is a house where they've got some cattle that they own, so they've got them in the garden, penned in, right next to their houses. A lake probably to let the animals drink at. And here's a lady, she's been carrying some water back to her house on her head and in some bowls, the palm trees in the background. And again, more houses, probably not what you'd expect houses to look like. These are not the rich people's houses, obviously. These are for the local people. Not everyone has lots of money out there. But it's always very colourful and bright. And they had lovely markets where they would sell lots of cloth, and this is traveller that's decided to stay in India and is braiding people's hair. Um, they sell lots of rugs and cloth that they make, hats. Um, oh, there's another shop with, you probably recognise that sign. They like their Pepsi out there. Not always sure it is Pepsi because they refill the bottles. But there's the beach, there's the market right next to the beach where they're selling all the lovely cloths you can buy, all the fabrics you can throw on your tablecloths and things. And this is a church in Goa. It's very clean and white looking, and this is a fishing area with lots of fishing boats. We've got some mopeds, some chaps, some guys standing around waiting for people to come and talk to them. As you can see, there's lots of different types of houses out there, lots of different things to see. And we did actually see some dolphins, though it's a bit difficult to see that that's a dolphin. My photography wasn't very good at the time. And this is a very wealthy man's house that he's had built right on the waterfront. There we go. So that's probably not what Chembakoli looks like, although some of those houses may look like what Chembakoli looks like. But if you ever get the chance to go to India, it is an amazing place to go, and different areas look wonderful, but are all different in very many different ways because of the climate in the areas and because of the way that whether they are Hindu or Muslim or Catholic. I also did go on my first holiday. We did actually stop in a place called we went to Agra, Jaipur, and Jaipur has is called the Pink City because all the buildings are made of pink stone, and that's the local stone, and so the um, the, the the walls of the city are pink. And I went to meet the Maharaja while I was there. He's like the king in that area, and we had a cup of tea with him, which was interesting. But he was very busy, so we didn't stay for very long. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my travels around India, and maybe you'll get to go there one day if you haven't already. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.